Hello, and welcome to the True Crime Lounge YouTube channel. I do have a podcast on Spotify and YouTube that you can go check out, and it's called True Crime Lounge. If you can see behind me, I do have my Christmas tree set up, so Merry Christmas. I wasn't really planning on doing the episode today, mainly because I try to schedule my episodes out, especially since I am a student and everything. But I had to jump on this case, jump and talk about this update on the Ruby Franke case that's been happening. But if you're new here, hit that like button, subscribe, and ring that bell for notifications. I also have a Patreon that you can join for scheduled episodes that are set to come out. I also have a Christmas murder series that's set to come out the week of Christmas. And I just got done with my Killer Siblings mini series as well. Yeah. So, I saw this the other day, and I had to. I was trying not to talk about it, but I had to. I just had to talk about this case for a minute. But I'm going to jump right into it. Ruby Franke. We all know her. She is the Utah mom of 6 who has the YouTube blog, 8 Passengers, that she took down, interestingly, a year before these charges came about. So you know she was arrested on 6 counts of child abuse charges. Well, recently, she pled guilty to 2 counts. Here's what we know. So I did some research, and here's some new details that was unlocked from this plea agreement. So, basically, I'm just going to go straight from the article here, but and maybe summarize it up some. But anyway, she pled guilty to 2 counts of child abuse. And she will go on to say, with my deepest regret and sorrow for my family and children, guilty. Like, first of all, this woman is crazy. I'm sorry. I don't judge often, but child abuse is something I don't play around with. As someone who was abused as a child, I don't play around with that kind of stuff. But the judge on the case sentenced her, has a sentencing set for February 20th after accepting the plea agreement, which describes in new details of the abuse, claiming that they were possessed. And under the plea agreement, she agreed to serve a prison term, and the sentence will run consecutively. Sentencing would be up to the judge. So, what's the Utah law? Well, the second-degree aggravated child abuse can be charged if a person knowingly or intentionally inflicts serious physical injury to a child, or causes or permits another to inflict serious physical injury to their child. Each charge carries a sentence of 1 to 15 years in prison. Anybody who's like child abusers do not need that light of a term. I'm sorry, but I might be biased on that opinion. I try not to be, but seriously. So, according to Windward Law, that said in a statement on Friday that the abuse occurred while Franke was influenced by a relationship counselor who led her to a distorted sense of morality. Yeah, you get where I'm going with this, right? Well, Franke is a devoted mother and also a woman committed to constant improvement. And she initially believed that her co-defendant, Jody Hildebrand, had the insight to offer a path of continual improvement, but said that Hildebrand took advantage of this and twisted it into something heinous. During Franke's incarceration, she was actively engaged as an introspection that has allowed her to reset her moral compass and understand the full weight of her actions. Miss Franke is committed to taking responsibility for the part she played in the events leading up to her incarceration. So, here's the details of the plea agreement. Alright, are you ready? So, in the plea agreement, It contains graphic details of abuse that I will not mention. It admits that she tortured her now 12-year-old son on May 22nd through August 30th by forcing him to do hours of physical tasks as wall sits and carrying boxes full of books and downstairs summer workout summer workout doors without adequate water and repeated and serious sunburns. He was also denied food or given very plain meals, punished when he secretly drank water, and was isolated from others without access to books, notebooks, or electronics. After he tried to run away, in July, his hands and feet were regularly bound, sometimes with handcuffs. Sorry guys, had to take a minute. But at times were used to tie together handcuffs that were secured for his feet and the lay of the stomach, lifting his arms and legs off the ground and injuring his wrists and ankles. So, the plea agreement also said that when the handcuffs cut into his skin and injured his hands and wrists, those injuries were treated with homeopathic remedies and covered with duct tape, such within the binding were replaced on the top of the duct tape, according to the agreement. So, Frankie would also admit to kicking her son while wearing boots, holding his head underwater and smothering his mouth and nose with her hands, according to the plea agreement. She tried to convince her son that he was evil and possessed. What kind of mom does that? Seriously. What kind of parent tries to convince her son they're evil and possessed? The psycho ones. And needed to repent so he could avoid the punishments and by being obedient according to the agreement, which had Frankie's action caused her son severe emotional harm. He was also told that everything being done to him were acts of love. I'm sorry, this was not acts of love. This was pure abuse right here. Like, you don't do that to a child. I'm sorry, but you just don't. And Frankie acknowledged similarities, physically abusing her 9-year-old daughter and forcing her to work outside, run on dirt roads barefoot, and go without food and water, causing her severe emotional harm. And her daughter's feet had been repeatedly injured according to the agreement, and those wounds were evidenced by scabs, blisters, and slowing skin, which she found. She too had been repeatedly sunburned. I know I said I wouldn't go into all details, but this case has been like one of those train wrecks that I had to keep watching. But she was also repeatedly told she was evil and possessed. The punishments were necessary for her to be obedient and repent, and that the mom and these things were being done in order for her to help her. The girl was convinced what her mother told her was true, the agreement said. So, how does Jody Hildebrandt play a part in this? Well, as most of you know, she was the business partner, and here's the plea agreement for this one. She agreed to testify against her business partner, therapist Jody Hildebrandt, and Frankie and Hildebrandt were arrested August 30th after Frankie's son escaped from Hildebrandt's house in southern Utah city of Irvins. Also asked the neighbor to call the police, according to a 911 call released by the St. George Police Department. And the boy was emaciated and had duct tape around his ankles and the wrist, but wouldn't say why. So, the caller said, I think he's been detained. He's obviously covered in wounds. So the boy and Frankie's daughter, who also was found at Hildebrandt's house, was taken to the hospital. Eventually, Frankie's 4 youngest children were taken into custody. And Hildebrandt also was charged with 6 felony counts of aggravated child abuse and remains in jail. So, the boy told investigators that Jody put the ropes on his ankles and wrists and that she used cayenne pepper and honey to dress the wounds that caused by the rope, according to the search warrant. The presence of this remedy for the child in the wounds proved that Hildebrandt was aware of the abuse, and the authorities stated in documents. So, would the cayenne pepper have been long been an ingredient for medical purposes? It should not be used on cracked skin or open wounds, according to Mount Sinai. So, Hildebrandt has agreed not to see patients until the allegations are addressed by the state licensing officials. Her next court date is December 27th, so I should have an update on that. But according to the court records, her attorney, Douglas Terry, did not return a phone call seeking comment on these allegations made against Hildebrandt in the statement. One former patient told KUTV that the Mormon bishop recommended he and his now ex-wife see Hildebrandt for marriage counseling, describing the virtual sessions as a cyber bully group. Yeah, I know. And her niece, Jessie Hildebrandt, described to KUTV that having been restrained and duct taped, isolated, and forced to sleep outside when living with Hildebrandt years ago. The Franke family was criticized online by its 8 passengers video blog and parenting decision, including banning the oldest son from his bedroom for 7 months after pranking his younger brother. In other videos, Ruby Franke talked about refusing to take a lunch to a kindergarten school who forgot she was threatening to cut her head off the young girl's stuffed toy to punish her for cutting things in their house. She's a kid, okay? First of all, the other brother was having a fun little prank on his son. No reason to take him away from a bedroom. The little girl should not be responsible. That is a parent's job to take care of their child. It's not the child's job to raise the parent or do... No, it's not. And the kindergartners... So, in one video, she even said her husband said their 2 youngest children that they would not be getting presents from Santa Claus because they had been selfish and weren't responding to punishment like being kept home from school and cleaning their floorboards. The channel started in 2015 and ended in 2022. So, and also, Kevin Franke has also filed for divorce. So, and also, so I just want to know, literally though, like, did Kevin Franke not know this abuse was going on the whole time? He was living in the house with them until they separated, but did he just not know the abuse was happening? Like, I'm curious as to that work, because I know he's not being charged with anything. And I also know there was a chance that he was trying to get, like, a trespassing charge against his daughter or something, because she went to go get necessary items for the kids. So, I don't know, like, but this case has been really interesting. Anyway, I had to jump on here and talk about this case for a second, because, oh my gosh, it's a train wreck I just can't turn away from. I know I shouldn't, but the true crime lover in me is just like, And the survivor in me is just like, I want to hear this case, and I'm like, it irritates me right there. Like, these children should not be abused. They shouldn't. So many words for this case. Anyway, that's it. I will see y'all next time. Have a Merry Christmas. Enjoy my mini series that's coming out.